Hello, today we're going to look at a network handshake. Now, a network handshake takes place when you first connect a server to a client. What are those? Okay, so a server is like a large central computer, and a client, well, it's probably one of many small local computers. And they're connected together with a network cable. You can imagine an analogy of this is, say you are a client and you want to go and get some insurance, so you're going to call up this company and you're going to speak to their call centre. And the call centre is a bit like the server. So when you connect to those, you have to go through a number of security questions. You're speaking to them, but you're really just deciding about are you who you say you are. And once those are done, then you can talk freely. And it's the same idea with the network handshake, is you're going through a number of security questions, and once those things have been passed, you can then speak freely. Okay, so you really want to do this to send information between the two. It's quite a convoluted process. It's rather sweet, really. It's almost like something from a Jane Austen novel. So this is going to be our client down the bottom left and our server at the top right. It's highly regulated. It's almost like something from 19th century kind of Japan. Each stage has its own codes and rituals. Now the client makes the first move and says hello. And in effect what it's doing is saying, right, I want to make a connection. It doesn't just say hello, it sends some information too. It sends a random number, some other stuff like some compression methods. Okay, so what's compression? Imagine compressing of data is almost like flat pack furniture. If you've got a wardrobe, you don't send the whole thing through ready made up. It's all flattened down, then sent through, and then reinflated or it's reassembled at the other end. Same with an image. You compress the image, send it through the network cable, and then you decompress it at the other end. As long as the compression data is secure, so we're also going to send some encryption methods. It's offering a number of different encryption methods that you may want to pick. In effect, the server will go, oh, okay, I'm going to use this particular compression method, and I'm going to put my own random number within there. It also says, okay, this is the protocol that we're going to use, almost like saying, let's conduct the rest of the message within French. It's basically sort of setting how they're going to do business from here on in. The server then sends a certificate to the client. It's almost like a kind of, I suppose, a business card, and then the server says, well, I'm sort of thinking Mr. Darcy here, then requests a certificate from the client. Now the server is definitely looking down on the client. There's a sense of superiority here. The server then sort of compounds this rudeness by going, okay, the greetings are now over. We now can conduct ourselves as acquaintances. It's sort of like a BBC Sunday night costume drama, isn't it? Now the client has probably removed its cap and it hands over its certificate to the server, and then after an uncomfortable silence and an attempt to polish its shoes, gives the server a secret message. This is made up of the previous messages and the agreed encryption method, and this is the client's way of letting the server know that the certificate has been received. Now the information that both the client and the server have received, both the random numbers, are then used to generate the pre-master secret. This is going to be unique between them. If anyone managed to intercept the message, even if they managed to guess the encryption method being used, the random numbers that both the client and the server have used will basically make the message unintelligible to anyone else. Now the client then sends a change cipher spec, which tells the server that everything that we hear from now on is legitimate, and the client basically says, I am finished. So we're saying, okay, we're now to sort of ready to start processing the information. The server then says, reads this finished message. If it fails to do so, it basically says there's a problem with security, so it won't even acknowledge it to the client. And the server then says, my man will now flog you and let this be a lesson to you. Well, not really, but it sort of feels like the thing that it may do. I wouldn't be at all surprised. What happens then is actually the server will then send a change cipher spec, and then they can begin to send the data between themselves in a secure way. Well, that's that. It's nice and easy, isn't it? Thank you for listening.